Hi. This presentation or documentary is a way for me to identify and align my interest in investigation with the work of other artists. To begin with, most of my work range in different mediums. I enjoy bringing analog and digital formats together through installations, video and painting, just to name a few. More recently, I've been looking at food and using it as a tool to connect and bring people together and heal/nourish the soul. To start with, I looked at Ragnar Kjartan's The Visitors. It is a 9-panel, 55-minute long video that showcases 9 musicians in different rooms of an upstate New York manor house. Something I noted from the piece is its visual warmth. It was filmed in a house, which gives it an intimate feel. The musicians and instruments' relationship is so bonded that they almost seem creatureless. Audience members engage with the work by moving around the room and viewing each on-screen musician produce a layer to the song Feminine Ways, lyrics courtesy of Kjartan's ex-wife. When viewing the work in situ, viewers will have the freedom to pick which screen to focus their attention to, single, multiple, or audio only. On top of this, there is no allocated position to be in when viewing, so audience members have the freedom to mix and match the visuals with the audio. When viewing The Visitors on YouTube, I did not have the freedom to decide what to visually see, as this was decided by the content creator. However, I still felt this piece was impactful, as the visuals weren't necessarily the main component. I think that headphone viewing allows one to focus on the piece more significantly, as there isn't much distraction by the sounds or movements of others. Following this, I also looked at Imran Peretta's The Destructors. It is a split-screen, 22-minute long video that showcases young British Muslim men on post-9/11 presenting monologues on alienation, war on terror and austerity. The first thing I noted is the clapping at the beginning. Immediately, there is tension created, and although playful at first, it contradicts the hostile environment created through the film's visuals and sound. The elemental visuals, such as the flooding of the school hallway and the smoke-filled ventilators paired with unsettling violin, creates an almost sinister suspense sort of atmosphere. The situ of the video is presented and represents that of an institution. Having a screen at the front followed by carpet and rows of chairs gives a clear indication of where the audience attention is intended to be, directed to listen to what the men have to say. I believe The Destructors works both as a gallery piece as well as at-home viewing. It is easily adaptable to be viewed from both settings. Its intention is not for the audience to receive, but to instead listen. When comparing these two pieces, I realised that the positioning of the audience member can affect how art is acknowledged. Sitting versus standing versus having the freedom to move around or look around in the same spot. As well as that, even who you're surrounded with can affect the mood of the piece given. Can you easily pay attention, or is there a background noise from the people around you? Although one was more witty and the other one serious, both pieces don't require me to be in situ to feel the effects of viewing. They both had a strong impression on me. The Visitors asked the audience, how does it make you feel? Whereas Imran Peretta's The Destructors tells you to listen and ask, how do they feel? So far in my investigation, I'm realising there are varying ways of presenting video. Is the audience watching, listening? Are they receiving, inquiring, thinking? Do the audience have to be positioned specifically, and does watching with others change the way the work is interpreted? How does the experience of witnessing work in the physicality compare to that of the online world? To continue, I look back into aspects of my work. I kind of like audience members to be immersed within the work, a sort of teleportation to another setting within one. I like having my viewers engaged through distributions of objects or food. Initially, I was investigating Martha Rosler's Semotics of the Kitchen. However, during my research, I discovered a response video created by Victoria Pazoga with the same name, Semotics of the Kitchen, created in 2018. Although both these videos showcase tools used in the kitchen alongside motions, the intentions and distributions differ. In the original, Martha Rosler's Semotics of the Kitchen is a parody of cooking tutorials popularised by Julia Child in the 60s. The gestures she pairs with the tools are violent, a representation of the rage of oppressive women roles. The audio in the piece is created from the items listed out loud and the sounds certain tools make. In a similar A to Z format, Victoria Pazoga lists food, action, as well as tools. Instead of listing the items, there is text on the screen and is more relaxed and playful. There seems to be a lot more intimate sexual references, for example, the bowl representing the breasts, dish soap being poured on the body, and tongs being used to remove underwear. It is a more modern day questioning of women's roles day to day, whether or not that be in the kitchen. The biggest difference to me, though, is how the work has been distributed. Martha Ross's version would have been seen in galleries around the world, whereas Victoria Pezzoga's was just a YouTube upload intended for examination only. It was a response for A-levels and not necessarily for the public eye, just uploaded to a public site. I have some common ground with both these examples of work. I recently created a video piece that has a narrative that guides audiences, that is based in the kitchen site, stylized as a video tutorial, and is a self-recording. What Do You Get When You Put Preserved Fish in a Cassette Tape in Quarantine 2020 was originally uploaded to YouTube to be embedded into a website for an online exhibition. However, the public video on YouTube could be seen out of context from a random YouTube viewer. How they interpret the video would be a lot different to someone who knows that its intentions was to be an art piece and just not an average YouTube cooking tutorial. Having the artist as a part of the video is also a very common theme in my work. He tells Styles how not to be seen a fucking didactic mob file is a single screen 15-minute video. It is the only exhibition listed that I have had the opportunity to visit in person. At both Tate Modern and Tate Liverpool, the setting of the video is presented in a darkened room with seats so the audience can easily relax and engage with the video. The initial starting point questions how to disappear and not to be seen by surveillance. The template derived from the Monty Python Flying Circus sketch, How Not to Be Seen.
This demonstrates the value of not being seen.
Ultimately, like it says in the title, it is didactic. It is intended to teach. In the video, there seems to be a blur between the human form and the digital form. The narrator sounds like a robot as they narrate the entirety of the video, teaching the human audience how to be invisible. Pixels have been personified and given life, not living the human experience, but the pixels living the digital experience. In a cultural context, the work is significant to today. The growing use of surveillance and other technologies being deemed as outdated and deserted. Comical in some ways, truthful and questionable in others, it is a satirical piece that highlights the human/non-human experience in the digital revolution. So after everything that I've learned here, there are some things that I would like to think about and experiment with. First of all, the idea of an online visual database. Whether this be a Google Images or Instagram, we see hundreds of images online every single day. How we see these images depends on the algorithms that have been automatically dictated for us through data collection. Whether these be accidental stumbles or if we intentionally have archived an image, we constantly have visuals directed towards us and stored as information. Secondly, I'm interested in human form and effect. How does seeing a human in a recognizable form compare to seeing a human in an unexpected form? I then question, how does digitalized imagery compare to analog imagery? Digitalized imagery tends to be reprocessed and replicated, whereas analog imagery tends to be one-off, singular, one of a kind. And lastly, I question the upload's intention. How does a video that was intentionally uploaded to YouTube compare to a video that was uploaded to YouTube to be embedded to another website? How does who or what you intend the upload for affect the overall ambience of the video? I experimented with shoot in script, typically done in an analog journalism photography, finding images through my camera roll, inquiring my investigation. Here I have selected 3 images that was in my camera roll, the first being Northern Palace, a screenshot from Google Maps. The second image is a delivery driver with a table and 2 chairs on his motorbike, and the third image is me in front of the Eiffel Tower. All 3 of these images have a sense of something being off about them. Typically, in Google Maps, you would see a full figure, not one so distorted. The average delivery driver that delivers food doesn't drive off with a table and chairs, and tourist photos are often so stylized to be perfectly composed and symmetrical, not blurry and tilted. But I like that about these images. So some of the questions I've gathered from the images I selected. How can human interactions be formed through the spatial relationship with one's surroundings? the environment and objects that surround individuals can dictate one's intentions, emotions, thoughts, actions so significantly just by acknowledging they exist. How does the form affect the ambience of a space? Does it become relaxed, humorous, uptight? The misplacement of an object or person distorts the individual's expectations of the entire experience. And how does human figure and its relationship compare to interior and online spaces? Looking at physical quotation mark error versus digital error, for example. And as a response to these questions, I then selected 3 more images that I had archived in my gallery. The first being a self-portrait of me in a position humans can't get to easily. The second being a human with a giant reprint of her face on her suitcase so she doesn't lose her luggage. And the third being a baby being baptized with a water gun in accordance to social distancing guidelines. I want to finish this presentation or documentary with a moving image stop-motion gift I've created as a representation of the past few months in quarantine. The post-it notes representing the individual stillness and the imagery in the background being a literal archive of the videos stored in my YouTube history, watching life pass by in this time of solitude. Through this investigation, I've been able to review and examine the inquiry of all the artists and the considerations taken in developing and exhibiting an art piece. Using these considerations, I've been able to create my own response, and I can apply this knowledge to future exhibitions I may endeavour. Thank you for watching.